Hi YouTubers and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be testing a short trigger gun as a replacement to the standard Karcher pressure washer lance. As I'm sure a lot of you know who have Karcher pressure washers, the standard gun and lance is nearly a metre long in length, which sometimes makes it difficult when working around the car in tight spaces. So after looking on Amazon, I came across a short trigger gun with the standard 1/4 inch quick release connector made by a company called Prunarbo. Now this particular product also came with a snow foam lance that looked very similar to the MJJC snow foam cannons that I've reviewed in the past on my channel. Now with this in mind, I thought it was an ideal opportunity to test both the short trigger gun and the snow foam cannon to see how they perform against more expensive alternatives. So let's first take a look at the product by unboxing and seeing what's inside. My first observation with this packaging is that it needs to be more substantial. The contents of this box are heavy and it blatantly hasn't fared well with the delivery drivers that drop kick parcels into the back of the van when loading up. Hopefully the contents of the box aren't damaged. The snow lance head is primarily solid brass and the plastic parts attached to it feel good quality. Here is the pinhole to let air into the bottle that prevents a vacuum building up when in use. The nozzle can spin 360 degrees and the fan blades are a 1/4 turn from fully open to fully closed. The flow control on the top is half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5 turns from minimum to maximum flow. The 1/4 inch connector on the back unscrews, allowing easy access to change the orifice nozzle. It comes installed with a 1.25mm orifice nozzle with a 1.1mm orifice nozzle if your pressure washer can support it. The lance bottle is clear, which makes it easier to measure out snow foam solution. There's this, which isn't mentioned in the instructions and I've not the foggiest idea what it's used for. Then there's the rubber pickup hose with a weighted ball bearing on the end and a metal filter ensuring dirt doesn't get sucked up into the lance head. The bottle has markings from 300ml in 100ml increments up to the 1 litre capacity of the bottle. The lance head doesn't feel as positive screwing onto the bottle as I'd have expected, more on this later. Here is a bag of nozzles that come with the trigger gun, colour coded for reference. And the trigger gun in all its glory. This has a good weight to it. I like the colour and it has the standard quick release connector on the end. A button for locking the trigger on, where you can squeeze the trigger to release it with a positive click. The inlet for the gun has a 360-degree spinning connector that will help prevent the hose from coiling. The optional 1.1mm orifice nozzle that comes included with the trigger gun. The quick release adapter for Karcher style pressure hoses. And a brief brochure style instruction manual. This gives some brief statistics on what's included. Mine doesn't come with the 6-in-1 nozzle shown here, but that might be offered in a different model. When I push the black collar down, you can see the guides moving that will release the Karcher hose. Let's get this attached to the trigger gun. It takes a 21mm and 27mm spanner to tighten the two parts together. I didn't have these spanner sizes in my toolbox, so instead I used two adjustable spanners. It's a little awkward getting the smaller one on because it's right next to the 360-degree nozzle nut connecting it to the gun. A quick weigh with the gun fully assembled, 852 grams. Here you can see the size of the gun compared to the standard Karcher lance. It's nice and compact in comparison. The trigger also feels much better quality. Connecting the hose is also easy. It can push fit connect. And you can also release it with one hand too. Assembly is easy for the snow foam cannon. Simply push the rubber hose onto the brass barbed connector under the lance head and you're done. I'm not sure if this wire pin is meant to clean out the air hole in the lid. Actually, it's probably more likely that it can be used if something gets blocked in the orifice nozzle. The lance head takes half, 1, 1.5, 2, nearly 2.5 turns to lock onto the bottle. The bottle neck is 5 cm or 2 inch in diameter. The base of the bottle is around 11 cm or 4.25 inch. The lance head weighs 403 grams. The bottle 104 grams. And the complete assembly is 506 grams. As you can see here from the lineup, the Prunarbo foam cannon is almost a hybrid of the MJJC Pro V2 and S V3. The heads look very similar in design. Out of these three cannons, the MJJC S V3 has the best bottle lock with its quarter turn lock to lock. I also prefer the clear bottles because it makes it so much easier to measure out the snow foam solution. Here are the different weights side by side. And these are the bottle neck and base width sizes side by side. Obviously a wider neck will be easier to fill and a wider base should be less likely to tip over. To keep this comparison fair, I'm going to be testing the Prunarbo foam cannon against the MJJC Pro V2 because I have the 1.25mm orifice nozzle installed in that as well. I think most watching will use the 1.25mm nozzle because a lot of domestic used pressure washers will not be able to run the 1.1mm nozzle. Before comparing snow foam cannons, let's take a quick look at how the short trigger gun compares against the Karcher lance. This is the standard spray pattern and how far it projects. The red 0-degree nozzle is very powerful and I wouldn't recommend using this close up on the cart as it will likely remove paint. The yellow is 15 degrees and closest to the Karcher Vario lance. Green is 25 degrees and is probably best for rinsing. White is 40 degrees and is more of a mist than a spray. Black is 65 degrees and pointless. What are you meant to do with this? Here you can see how much closer I can get with the short trigger gun. Back to the foam cannons. Built Hamber uses a PIR calculation to measure the exact amount of solution needed specific to your pressure washer and snow foam cannon. So to do that, you first need to fill the lance bottle with water. Next, make sure the lance flow rate is set to maximum pickup. I also have the fan blades fully open for this to make sure I'm not restricting flow. Now spray into a bucket until you've emptied the lance bottle. I've just realised that the water in the bottle is draining very, very slowly. So this I had as max, thinking it was max pickup, but actually it's the wrong way round. It should be that way for maximum pickup. The instructions do state plus for more water and less foam, minus for less water and more foam. However, this is not intuitive. You don't alter the amount of water, this is constant. This is adjusting how much is picked up from the bottle, so should be the other way round. Plus for more foam solution, minus for less. I've refilled the bottle back up to 1 litre and I'll try again. That's more like it. Now I need to measure the total amount dispensed. I have a bucket with litre markings on the side, which makes this quicker. If you don't have something similar, you can always use the foam cannon bottle to measure it out. That's 10 litres with a little remaining, so I'll empty the bucket to measure what's left. It's less than 1 litre, but not easy to gauge in this bucket, so I'll use the foam cannon bottle instead. This is also another minor design flaw of the Prunarbo. You naturally grab the lance head to unscrew it from the bottle because it's the easiest thing to hold, but this then happens. They need to design an alternative method of attaching these two parts together so this doesn't happen every time you use the foam cannon. So with that emptied into the bottle, it measures 750 millilitres, so that's 10.75 litres in total dispensed. 10.75 multiplied by 1000 gives us the total in millilitres. 10,750 multiplied by 2% is 215 ml, so I need to add 215 ml of solution, topped up with 785 millilitres of water. Something else I noticed about the Prunarbo Lance bottle. There looks to be a thin plastic lip on the top of the bottle which looks left over from the moulding process. Although this doesn't affect the functionality of the bottle, this looks like something that should have been removed as part of quality assurance checks. And we come to another minor issue with the Prunarbo Lance bottle. Because the millimetre markings only start from 300 ml and I need to add 215, I'm going to have to use something else to measure it out. Once this has been done for the first time, you could add a mark on the side of the bottle as a reference point for future use, but I think it would be better if they just added a couple more markings for 200ml and 100ml. With a clear bottle, as I mentioned earlier, it's easy to see how much solution is in it. If you're finding this video useful and want to see more videos like it, please consider liking and subscribing. It doesn't cost anything, helps me reach like-minded people like you, and means any future videos I produce will appear on your feed as soon as they're released. MJJC foam cannon PIR uses 250ml of solution based on its 1 litre capacity. The opaque MJJC bottle is a little harder to see through when measuring, but at least it can be done in the bottle. Now I'll top them both up to 1 litre. You can see here it's harder to measure when adding a clear liquid into the opaque bottle. Rather than me showing snow foam being applied from one cannon and then the other, I've put the two clips side by side to make it easier to compare and subsequently how long it takes to run off. The foam thickness between these two foam cannons is very similar. It's difficult to call which one has the edge here. Towards the end of this clip there's more foam collecting on the left side of the drive, but there is also more foam still on the windshield on that side. Again, on the back, the results are very similar between the two. and finally comparing spraying the entire side of the car. I didn't do quite as well applying the snow foam with the Prunarbo this time. Still, both are similar towards the end of the clip. You can see here I used about 400ml in the Prunarbo foam cannon and 400ml in the MJJC Pro V2, so consumption was about the same. With my setup, both foam cannons use 800ml to cover the entire car. Now it's time to rinse off the snow foam. When rinsing off snow foam, I prefer to use the yellow nozzle as it helps lift dirt off before the contact wash. For rinsing, either the yellow or the white nozzle will likely work best. With this short trigger gun, you can actually hold it easily with one hand, whereas with the Karcher lance, you tend to need to hold it with both hands. Firstly, this allows you to get closer so you can better focus on what you're removing, and secondly, because you don't need to use two hands to hold the lance, you can now use your spare hand to keep the hose away from the car like I'm doing here. I'm pleasantly surprised by this short trigger gun. Although the main reason I bought this was so I wasn't attaching my foam cannon to a lance that was already too long, now I'm using it, the feel of the gun and trigger has levelled up the pressure washer experience, like going from standard to premium. I suppose when using it one-handed, you get a better feel for the power because the spray nozzle is now closer to your hand. And as for the snow foam cannon that came with it, I think my test has shown how well it can compete with the industry leaders. This trigger gun and foam cannon package cost less than the MJJC foam cannon on its own. Yes, there were a few niggles with the Prunarbo foam cannon which I've highlighted earlier in this video, but if I was a budget conscious user who didn't have either a short trigger gun or a premium foam cannon, I'd get this set over just buying a foam cannon on its own. Money no object, I'd buy the Prunarbo trigger gun and MJJC SV3 foam cannon. Together, these two items are hard to beat. There is nothing about the Prunarbo short trigger gun that I'd change. I'm really impressed with it, and if you're looking to buy one, look no further. I've put a link in the description if you want to buy it. Here is a comparison of costs against the two foam cannons tested. I've also got the MJJC SV3 on here, which was tested in a previous video I made, as a comparison of how the 1.1mm orifice nozzle performed. With the Prunarbo lance not needing as much solution as the MJJC foam cannons, this has the cheapest wash cost at £1.03 based on filling the bottle to 800ml. Obviously this is calculated at Built Hamber's maximum 2% PIR ratio. If the car isn't really dirty, a 1% PIR would cost half that. And this table shows a summary of the various features tested. I've scored the Prunarbo foam cannon 7.5 out of 10. The snow foam it produces is as good as the professional MJJC foam cannons, which is the most important function of the foam cannon. The reason why it gets marked down is for the little niggles. The measuring marking's not going down far enough on the bottle to be able to use it for measuring snow foam solution. The lance head unscrewing from the lid instead of unscrewing the lid itself. The flow pickup adjuster on the top of the lance head being the wrong way around, and the finish of the bottleneck during the manufacturing process. I think with these few things sorted, this Prunarbo foam cannon could be sold on its own and easily compete against the industry leaders. I've attached the white nozzle here to rinse the wheels, which works really well. Because it's spread out over a bigger angle, it's a softer spray, so you don't get as much bouncing back and wetting you. And a few clips of the car now I've finished cleaning it. Well guys, that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Subscribing's free and it just means any future videos I release will automatically appear on your feed without you having to search for them. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you on the next video.